Hello there. Sorry I missed last week, but I had a date with the DMV. The DMV, that's such a fun place to go, isn't it? And by the time I got home, I just realized I was too tired and it was too late to do a live stream. I thought of maybe doing one later in the week. Didn't get around to it. But anyway, here I am now. Um, just got off the phone making my daily calls for Dr. Desi Anderson as her assistant. Had an amazing conversation with a man in Minneapolis. And he assured me that things are settling down there. It's getting a little better. But he also emphasized to me the people of Minneapolis are just calm, friendly, normal people. And to have these recent series of events has just been beyond bizarre and disturbing. But I'm glad to hear that things are better. Here in Los Angeles. Oh, I forgot something. There we go. My Los Angeles pillow. It's too familiar. It's part of my trademark when I do these shows. You're supposed to have a little something familiar for people to hang on to. Right now, here in Los Angeles, we are having ourselves a bona fide heat wave. And I heard on the news today that it's just starting. It was hot this weekend. It was hot. And now they're saying it's just starting. It's going to get hotter. It's supposed to get up to like 100 degrees in certain areas this week. And I just got off the phone speaking with people like my dear friend Joyce in Iowa, the man I spoke to in Minneapolis, where they're getting snowstorms right now. And this is just so typical. Whenever the East Coast gets a blizzard or a cold wave, it pushes all of their heat out this way. Thank you very much. And likewise, when we're cold, we push our heat out in that direction. Hi, Kelly. Thank you for joining me here. Hi, Renee. Thank you. People are saying hello to each other. Yeah, you're getting snow in Ohio. That's what I heard from my friend Joyce in Iowa. And I was just mentioning, I was speaking to a man in Minneapolis. It's strange. And I almost feel reluctant to talk about our heat wave here because it sounds like I'm maybe bragging about our situation. Trust me, I am not bragging. I don't particularly like hot weather. I would happily trade places with all of you out there getting snowstorms. I really would. I'm happier in the cold. I do better. I think better. My mood is better. My energy is better in the cold. But I'm here in Southern California. And it is, let me see what it says on my phone right here. See if it tells me anything about our local weather. Well, according to this, it's 81 degrees right now. It feels a lot warmer, and I think a lot. Sasha, my cat's getting in stuff. I think it feels warmer because I am in an upstairs apartment. I'm in this really, really terrific 1941 apartment building, with wonderful Art Deco crown molding and the fireplace and the hardwood floor and the French windows. I love it. But because it is an older building and I am in the upstairs, it's a lot like being in an attic. All the heat rises up. I get poor circulation with my windows, so I have to crank up my air conditioning. I have my air conditioning running right now, and I know a lot of you out there are dealing with heating issues at the moment. But yeah, it says here 81 degrees and severe weather, extreme heat warning. These conditions are expected by 10 a.m. Tuesday, March 17th. Additional alert, heat advisory. What it says right here. So we're just on the tail beginning of this, I should say. And I understand it's going to be hotter than holy hell for the rest of the week, starting tomorrow with St. Patty's Day. Any of you out there have plans for St. Patrick's Day? I don't. Because I live in a big city, events like this, St. Patrick's Day, Valentine's Day, typically it is just a mess out there. All the traffic on the roads, hard to find parking. Restaurants are all booked up with reservations. It's just easier to stay home. I bought some Irish soda bread from Trader Joe's. I don't know that I've ever had Irish soda bread, so I'm going to try that out. I think I'll try it tomorrow. Some bread and butter. Um, mm, suppose I could get adventurous and make corned beef and hash in a crock pot or something. But I don't really have any Irish. I don't think I have any Irish lineage because I think on my mother's side, it was more Scottish, which tentatively, Dr. Whimsy Anderson and we may bring a couple of friends along, we're planning a trip to Europe later in April. It's still in the planning stages right now, but tentatively London and Edinburgh, Scotland. And I've been to both places many times before, but it's been a number of years since I was last there. And Whimsy was talking about maybe Wales instead of Edinburgh. I've never been to Wales, but my argument is, why can't we do both? Why can't we do Wales? Why can't we do Edinburgh and London, even if it means shaving off a few days? And the main appeal of London, I think for Whimsy and myself both, is that we love theater. And any of you have ever gone to London, experienced West End theater, it's basically the London version of our Broadway. Only it's a lot more affordable and easier to get tickets for. I think much of that has to do with the fact that the English, it's more of their culture. Theater is just a regular cultural thing for them, much more so than America here, where it's more of I think it tends to be more elitist. Unfortunately, I wish it were more common, but I just love going to West End theater in London. And I love regional theater all throughout England, all the little cities all throughout, which I've been fortunate to do. I've done England top to bottom through various trips. I have been to Edinburgh. But speaking of Ireland, I've never been there. Now, if I really had my way, now I'd probably be pushing this with Whimsy. She'd be ready to kill me. But I wish there was a way to do Wales, Scotland, in addition to London, and then do a day trip to Ireland, just to touch base there, to touch the soil. One time I was in London and I was in Harrods department store, and coming out on the sidewalk, someone was selling day trips to Dublin for roughly the dollar equivalent of about $70. It's a long time ago, but it was you just took a quick flight from London to Dublin, stayed there for about 8 hours, and you came back. And I would love to have done that, but it was my final day in London, and I was due to fly back to America in the morning. And I was worried, well, something could go wrong. I could get stuck at the airport there. There could be flight delays or something. And something in my gut just said, don't do it. But I've always regretted not going to Ireland. Maybe I'll mention this to Whimsy, see what happens. Any of you out there who watch me on the Oracle of Whimsy channel, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, we do Taco Tuesdays and Hot Events Thursdays. And Whimsy, of course, is the whole reason that I do this Monday show. I have my own channel here, because she pushes me out of my comfort zones, and that's a great thing. So let's see here. Renee, you're Irish Scottish. Yeah, that is a great mix. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm Gary. Hi, Rockin' Pony Lady. Thank you for joining me here. I love your name, Rockin' Pony Lady. I say that many times when I call it your name on the show. Whimsy has a thing where she likes me to do the romper room bit. Remember romper room? You hold up the magic mirror and go, oh, I see Becky. I see Johnny. I see Billy. Well, basically, I have to do that. We turn the camera around and I look at all the names and scroll through them and read them off to people. My only worry is mispronouncing names, being people thinking I'm maybe disrespectful, not getting their names right. And sometimes I wish there was a way I could have a quick little phonetic spelling or something, but Rockin' Pony Lady is nice and easy. And it makes me smile, that name. And people are saying hello to each other. You know, I was, I always say I do this show at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and more, it seems like my work just keeps me from getting on here on time because I have to give priority to that. I work from home, and today here it is already past 6 o'clock my time, but at least I'm on here. And I very much wanted to get on here today because I did miss last week because of the DMV visit. The damn DMV. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean about the DMV. But it's fun to see people sing hello to here. I don't know if more people are going to join. I saw on the news today before I came on that a truck turned over on the 10 freeway here in Los Angeles. A truck filled with pancake syrup. No joke. A truck full of syrup. And there's now sticky pancake syrup all over the 10 freeway. And I don't know if they have lanes closed off or how they're handling this, but oh my God, what a mess. What a mess that would be. Let's see, where's some comments here. Chuck, are you concerned about the SAG after negotiations? I find that these things always work themselves out. And truthfully, I've been so busy with other things, and I've been so out of the loop, honestly, with SAG-AFTRA. I haven't been doing any formal acting right now, so it hasn't affected me personally so much. But I have faith. I have faith things are going to be okay. Renee, I've been so busy with packing and getting ready for my moving sale and selling the house. Yeah, that's where I have been. I have been on this 4-month project, taking about 10 years of clutter, stuff that I've been shoving into closets, shoving into drawers, shoving behind the couch. Any of us who have ever lived in small apartments, you know what I'm talking about, to where it was starting to explode and it was getting out of hand. It was getting disorganized. It was getting to the point where I didn't even know what I had anymore. So I've been working on that, donating things, throwing things away, taking things to a storage unit, which is about an hour and a half away. And there's only so much I can fit in my little tiny Miata sports car at a time, though I can put the top down and stack stuff up pretty high. I don't know how legal that is. I haven't had a police officer pull me over just yet, but I have taken it to the limits. But that has kept me busy. But intuitively, it feels important because I feel like once it's done, it's going to free me up, free up my mind, free up my energy to do more important things that I need to be focusing on. And among those things, I've mentioned how I want to build this channel up and start making a lot more videos. And also a lot of my focus is with Dr. Whimsy Anderson and the 2 shows a week that we do, because we're really growing with those. We are only within about 6,000 subscribers of having that magic 100,000. And once we have those 100,000 subscribers, that means that we can start doing commercials. Whimsy and I joke about it, that she's Johnny Carson, I'm Ed McMahon, and I'm going to be doing the Alpo commercials. Boy, that dates me, doesn't it? But anybody of a certain age remembers those days of the Dunn H show and Ed McMahon doing the Alpo commercials. But it's aside from that, it's also just joyous that we're reaching more people on larger platforms. We're with that show, we're expanding to Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and aside from YouTube, and we're really getting noticed. We're getting almost, or it might be over right now, 5 million viewers a month. So I definitely need to give that a lot of my focus and time, but also focus on this. I see where this is going, and I'm also doing a lot of my freelance artwork right now. I'm doing my writing. The trip to Europe, should we do this, it's going to be a working trip, where we're going to make a lot of videos while we're over there. And we're hoping that that's going to give more gravitas and more prestige to our show and hopefully attract more viewers. And one of the reasons we decided on London we get asked a lot of questions about the royal family. There's just this fascination with the royal family that never goes away because it's the world's biggest soap opera. It's Dynasty, it's Dallas, it's Falcon Crest, it's Knots Landing with a crown on it, and much, much bigger. And as of late, far more serious and tragic. And we thought it would be very interesting. Oh, Renee, thank you for your comment. You guys are great together. I love Whimsy dearly. We have a very authentic friendship going back more than a decade. And when I talk with people, people tell me they find that what we do it's organic and it's honest, because it is. We're just taking our friendship and expanding upon it and including all of you in. But we thought it would be fun to go to London for a few days and do on the spot reporting, like stand in front of Buckingham Palace, Trafalgar Square, see if people would be willing, native Londoners, they'd be willing to talk to us. What are your feelings about the royal family? What are your opinions? What are your opinions? How do you feel about what's been going on with the man formerly known as Prince Andrew, Sarah Ferguson, King Charles, Camilla? We think this could be quite fascinating. So it will be a working trip. That's our plan. It's still up in the air, and we'll talk more about it on that show as we come along. Let's see. Let me check some comments here. Oh, look who came to join me. Look at this. It's Miss Sasha. Not looking too enthused right now. She's got her claw caught in my shirt. Oh, hey, Sasha. Want to say hi? Want to say hi? She's saying, no, put me down. Put me down. I don't want to be on camera now, but come on, Sasha. Don't you want to do your cute little paw wave? No, you don't. Put me down. Okay, I'm going to put her down. Oh, God. She scratched me here. What was this here? What was this here? No, it's just some nice comments here for Whimsy and myself, and for the beautiful Sasha. Yeah, she's quite special. You guys all know my dear friend Anastasia, who does her own live streams on here, sometimes before me, sometimes afterwards. Sometimes she's just too busy to put any up, but she certainly has made her presence known, and we certainly have worked together enough times on here. We were together last night. We watched the Oscars, and we could have done a show. We've done it before. We could have done our thing where we do our bitchy Joan Rivers red carpet commentary, which we love doing. We really love that, and watching the show together and doing commentaries that goes along. But last night we were just feeling like, let's just relax. Let's just have drinks and food and watch the show, not be concerned with all of this. But trust me, we make our commentary. What, Sasha? What is it? What is it? Come on. What is it? What is it, Sasha? Oh, there she is. Okay. We're making comments about the red carpet and like who is wearing the most gaudy sequins, who looks the most like a feather duster, and we decided that was definitely Demi Moore. But it's kind of like a combination of people wearing their shower curtains, wearing their tablecloths. I think Anastasia had to comment about Melissa McCarthy's gown with all the sequins. She said it looked like a unicorn had just thrown up on her. And I found some people looked like they were wearing 99-cent store Christmas leftover gift wrap. And then there are always the people who look like they're wearing hefty cinch stacks. And I think, are these people... Sorry, now my cat is walking around. I have to hold her so she doesn't jump on the keyboard. Come on, Sasha, be a good girl. Some of the people look like they're wearing trash bags, feather dusters, sequins. And I've often thought, are these people, are these stylists playing practical jokes on their clients? Oh, trust me, you'll look wonderful if I pin 30 feather dusters to your ass. Well, do you really think so? Oh, trust me, it's gonna look fabulous. Yeah, I wonder if these people are just listening to their stylists, and then I wonder if their stylists are legally blind. You know, some of the people looked like they were wearing Halloween costumes. Literally, like you go to one of those Halloween pop-up stores where you can buy a costume in a bag with a mask. Only they throw the mask away and just wear the costume. Enough of that. Oh, Dr. Stephanie loves you. Me and Tammy sure love you and sure proud of you. Oh, I'm so happy you're here. Oh, Dr. Stephanie and Dr. Tammy are two of my dearest friends in the whole wide world. We're brother and sisters from another mother, right? Yeah, we are so bonded to each other. I'm just happy to have you on here. You didn't care for Melissa McCarthy's dress either. Yeah, it was a little strange. Oh, Taroba Sharona. Hi, thank you. You're on there with Whimsy and me. Oh, thank you. I love all of you for crossing over to here. So tell me, what'd you guys think of the Oscars last night? I thought it was so bad. It was just a really lackluster show, in my opinion. But what did work? What really did work was the in memoriam segment. And that's usually not the case, but this was the rare time where they got it just right. It was so heartfelt, so warm, so sincere. It was moving, like the tribute to Rob Reiner. That was beautiful. What Billy Crystal had to say, it was even more beautiful when all of those stars who had been in his movies, like people from The Princess Bride, there was Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal standing together from When Harry Met Sally. There was Kathy Bates. There was Annette Bening from The American President. That was beautiful. And the way they walked out in unity, and then they just turned around and looked up to the big picture of Rob Reiner. I think a lot of us were crying over it. And then there was a lovely tribute to Diane Keaton, who was one of my personal favorites, and tribute to Catherine O'Hara. I loved her. And then, if it couldn't have been any better, the ultimate, Barbara Streisand came out and did this lovely tribute to her friend Robert Redford. And that's one of my favorite movies of all time, The Way We Were. In fact, I still remember being 13 years old and seeing that film in the movie theater. I'm the rare person who fell in love with Barbara Streisand for her acting. It was later I discovered her music, her incredible voice. One of the greatest gifts God ever gave anybody is the voice of Barbara Streisand. But I discovered her first in the movies, and it was The Way We Were. I've always had great affection for that film. I always loved the chemistry between two very opposite actors. Sometimes that doesn't work. It can be disastrous. But when it does work, one of the greatest examples I can think of is The African Queen, Katharine Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart, two very different actors, and they were electric together. That was their romantic chemistry was sizzling. Well, I've always thought that The Way We Were was similar. Robert Redford and Barbara Streisand, two totally opposite people, and you put them together, and it was magic, and it was electrical, and it was like one of those one of a kind chemistry teamings. And I loved from Barbara's tribute that they kept the friendship going for decades afterwards. They were very, very close to each other. And I think that was part of their soul connection they shared with each other on screen. And Barbara is going to be 84 next month. She rarely, if ever, makes public appearances anymore. I think the last time she ever sang in public was in London in 2019. So that in itself was an event when she did the last verse of The Way We Were, and there was a poignancy to it. Barbara's voice, one of the greatest gifts God ever gave anybody, has gotten old. That's to put it frankly. Her voice was breaking. She sounded a little off key. The majesty of her voice is not there anymore. But it was filled with such heart that it was poignant just the same. And we may never even hear Barbara Streisand sing again in public again. And the way she did it as a tribute to her beloved friend. And she even told the story about how they would get on the phone and they loved to talk about art and news and politics. And she said the last time they talked together, Robert Redford said, "I love you, Babs." And of course, she wasn't particularly fond of the name Babs, but she was touched by that. And she wrote him a note soon afterwards. And she said, "I love you too." And she signed it Babs. So I thought that in memoriam segment was one of the most memorable and moving things they have ever done on the Oscars. And it's unfortunate it had to be situated in the middle of one of the worst Oscar shows ever done. I don't know if you people agree with me or not, but I thought it was pretty bad. Conan O'Brien claimed that he had spent 2 months in comedy clubs testing out that material. And they had this whole team of writers. I thought, that's the best you can come up with? The jokes were so flat, so boring. The audience politely laughing, sometimes not laughing at all. And it just felt awkward, really awkward. But we did have that beautiful moment in the middle of that. And Kate mentioning about Jane Fonda, noting she was in 4 movies with Robert Redford. But this is an example of how the press loves to blow things out of proportion and create fights and rivalries that do not even exist. I'll say up front, Jane Fonda and Barbara Streisand are very good friends. I just want to say that up front. And Jane Fonda was being interviewed. And she was just being funny. She was being a little facetious. I thought that was obvious. She was saying, well, why wasn't it me up there doing the tribute to Robert Redford? Barbara only made 1 film with him. I made 4. I should have been up there. Well, anyway, she was saying it jokingly. All over social media today, this supposed rivalry between Jane Fonda and Barbara Streisand, and Jane Fonda being very catty and very vicious, saying, I should have been one doing the tribute to Robert Redford. Oh, please. And I would imagine the 2 women probably got on the phone and had a big laugh about it. But it is true. They did do 4 movies together. And it's interesting, but the span of years between those movies, because I could be wrong on this, but I think their first movie together was Barefoot in the Park in 1967, and that's where they played young, giddy newlyweds in their 20s. The last movie they did was very much a love story between 2 senior citizens. I mean, they were very frank about that. It was about 2 older people and all the complexities of an older couple trying to have a love affair together, obligations to their families and so forth, society expectations. It's a Netflix film. I can't remember the title of it. It's easy enough to look up. Just Google Jane Fonda, Robert Redford. It's on Netflix still, and I recommend it to you. Oh, Stephanie, thank you. Thank you. That meant a lot to me to be asked to do that. The reading of Ananis Nin, if any of you know me, I do channeled readings I do card readings for people, but I also channel um, souls. I channel family members. Various celebrities come to me. I often read these messages on the show I do with Dr. Whimsy. And Stephanie, since you brought it up, I hope you don't mind me acknowledging it, because I normally am very respectful of people's privacies, but you commissioned me to do a reading of her. And that reading really surprised me because, I go into it with a clean slate. I don't want any of Chuck getting into these readings. I really don't. And when I'm being commissioned by someone, I feel it's a sacred responsibility to do the best that I can to my ability. So I completely clear my slate. I do my prayers. I just start receiving. And sometimes a reading can be very easy for me, where it's almost literal, where the words just come to me word for word for word for word, and I have certain people that I communicate with so much. I've mentioned Lucille Ball, Jackie Kennedy comes to me, Elizabeth Taylor. They're ones where I can just it's almost like writing dictation from them. Anais Nin. This, Stephanie, I even mentioned this to you. This was one of the most abstract readings I've ever done. It was, I was getting images like broken church stained glass windows, light coming through. And, I'm not going to go into the whole thing because this is very private and personal, and I don't want to violate any of that for you. But it was so abstract. And then it's like anybody who's ever spoken another language, where you know that when you translate a language, it's not literal word for word for word. Sometimes the meanings of a sentence are very different, but you've got to translate the essence of that into a way that can be understood in English. Well, that's what I had to do with that. It was translated. It was one of the most challenging readings I've ever done. And I thank you dearly, dearly, my dear friend, my sister from another mother, Dr. Stephanie. Dr. Stephanie Hunter. She's a give her a plug here. She is a wonderful therapist. She is you're a clinical sex therapist. And I'm sure you're one of the best in the nation, because this type of therapy is extremely rare. There aren't too many people who do what Stephanie does. So she's lucky that she, through this wonderful world of the internet, you can see patients all over the country, like Dr. Whimsy does. She's a naturopathic doctor, and there are many communities who do not have access to that. So we have this wonderful world. But I just thank you for giving me that opportunity. It was extremely rewarding for me. And you complimented me by saying it touched your soul. Well, it touched my soul very much, enough where I want to start reading her works myself and learning more about her. And that was one thing about doing that reading for you. I came into it from a very pure place of not being familiar with her, to just let myself be a pure vessel. What was this, Kadam? Do you think Bardot was snubbed deliberately in the memoriam? I like to think not. Bridget Bardot, by every right, should have been acknowledged. She did make a mark in cinema. And Bridget Bardot also did incredible, I want to say humanitarian work, but her work was for animals. So I don't know if humanitarian is the right word here. Maybe one of you can tell me what the word is. The humanitarian work on behalf of animals. But she famously said, "I gave my youth and my beauty to the movies, but I gave my latter years to the animals." She was extremely devoted. Now, I know she was also outspoken. She stepped on some toes. She could be controversial. So you make a point there about her being snubbed deliberately, but I find that hard to believe. In fact, I think that's a good question. I wish there was a way of someone authoritative to ask, why was she overlooked? Because they seem to be a lot more careful in this year. because they often get criticized for leaving people out of the in memoriam. And this year they actually doubled up. If you watched it, they would have two people together on the same screen so they could include more names. Yeah, I thought they struck a good balance for the most part. A lot of people they just acknowledged their names with the music, but then there were a few select people like Rob Reiner, Diane Keaton, and of course Robert Redford, who were singled out in very, very special ways. I wish the rest of the show could have held up to that standard. But I wish I had someone I could ask. Believe it or not, I used to have someone that I could ask. I used to be acquainted with Craig Zadan, the producer Craig Zadan, and he and his professional partner Neil Miron, I think I said that right, Neil Miron, they produced the Oscars for 3 years in a row. And so for 3 years, I had the ear of one of the producers of the Oscars. He since has passed on, but he's someone I could have put that question to. Why did you not include Bridget Bardot in the memoriam? And I can tell you that because I had his ear, I freely made suggestions to him. One of my biggest suggestions was, why don't you get Bette Midler to host the Oscars? She'd be sensational. And his answer surprised me. He said, you know what? I agree with you. You know how much I agree with you? I pursued Bette Midler. I really did. He pursued her. And he said the reason they didn't use her was because ABC, the network carrying the Oscars, and this is really stupid. Really stupid. They said, Bette Midler's too old. She does not appeal to a younger demographic. And I said to Craig, that's bullshit. And he said, yes, it is bullshit. He said, you don't know how hard I fought to get Bette Midler to host the Oscars. But anyway, I tried. He tried. I'll tell you another little thing that's interesting. He and his partner were producing a live television version of the Broadway musical Peter Pan. I think this is about roughly 10 years ago. Yeah, maybe a little more. And this is where I was working in West Hollywood. And Anne Hathaway was one of my good customers. I used to see Anne Hathaway almost every day and talk with her. Really, really sweet person. And Anne Hathaway at the time had always said that her dream was to star in a Broadway musical. And this was the time when she had the short little pixie cut. Because if you remember Les Miserables, they cut all of her hair off on camera in the movie, and she got an Oscar for it. Not for getting her hair cut off, but for the performance. So she had a short little pixie cut. And I also knew that Anne Hathaway had a background in gymnastics, and the role of Peter Pan, you're on those wires and you've got to do all those somersaults and tumbles and dives. You have to be athletic to do that role. She's always wanted to star in a musical. So Craig Zadan used to come in my store. Anne Hathaway used to come in. And I thought, I'm going to be casting director here. I'm going to be a little bit of a matchmaker here. And so I said to Craig first, you know that Anne Hathaway comes in here, and don't you think she would be a great Peter Pan? And he said, she'd be extraordinary, but she would never do it. She'd never do it. Well, a few days later, I saw Anne Hathaway, and I said, Anne, I was talking to Craig Zadan, and he said, you'd be incredible as Peter Pan. He's doing a live version of, the Broadway musical. And she said, really? He really said that? I said, why don't you get your people to talk to his people? So anyway, I don't know whatever happened. Obviously, Anne Hathaway never did Peter Pan, but I like to think at least her people and his people got together and talked, and I would have been really proud if I had made that happen. But anyway, we're going all over the place here. Stephanie, thank you for what you said and saying it touched your soul. That means a lot to me. And thank you for giving me permission to share the story, because I'm extremely respectful of people, as you know. What was this, Katem? Turner Classic Movies does their own in memoriam. I don't get to watch Turner Classic Movies anymore because I don't have cable TV. And unfortunately, they don't make that a streaming channel. The closest thing they do is HBO Max. They include Turner Classic Movies on there, but they don't include all those great little segments in between and stuff. And I really miss that because I always loved Turner Classic Movies. And AMC, Renee, you're mentioning that. AMC, I used to love AMC when they used to show old Hollywood films, but a few years ago, they broke away from that and they started doing more original programming and stuff. And basically, it just wasn't AMC anymore, unless it's gone full circle and gone back again. But there's just less and less people who love these old classics the way we do. And we're keeping them alive. And Danny, hi. And Whimsy, you're here. The wonderful Dr. Whimsy Anderson. I don't know if you saw me earlier. I was talking about our prospective plans for London and Scotland. And I know you're throwing in Wales. And I'm saying, well, can't we find a way to do it all? I don't know. We'll talk about it later. But Whimsy, I'm really, really excited. I've already told people how we're going to do some segments on the street and talk to people in London about the royal family and get opinions. And hopefully we'll get some good earfuls of things to send back. What was this, Katem? Anne Hathaway looked great last night. Yes, she did. She looked beautiful. She gave Best Costume and Makeup with Anna Wintour from Vogue. And of course, Anna Wintour is the real life inspiration for Miranda Priestley, Meryl Streep's character in The Devil Wears Prada. And, it's been a long time since I've looked forward to a movie where I thought I'd want to go to the movie theater for it. And that's one. I really want to see The Devil Wears Prada's 2, Part 2. I hope it's going to be good. It sounds like it's going to be fun. It's, God, more than 20, almost 20 years since the first movie. But they're bringing back most of the original people. And she looked beautiful. And I even loved how Anna Wintour was in character. When Anna asked her, well, what do you think of my gown? And there's just this pause. The nominees are... That was kind of cute. Joel Tilson, I have you here too. Joel Tilson, Chuck, did you get my email? No, I didn't. I will have to look for that. As soon as I finish this show, I will look, Joel. I apologize for that. That I didn't see it. Geocosmic Valentine, you're here too. What was this? The Oracle of Whimsy. We must have both run over here from your channel. Yes, I am so appreciative to have you here. Oh, Whimsy, don't worry about your pre-tape going over. Please never worry about that. I'm pleased. What I do here is pretty informal. I'm grateful. I come on here to do this, and, partly out of gratitude to all of you here, loyalty to you, to keep my channel going, to have it as a place marker until I do expand it further. You have a lot more videos to make. I have a big library on there, but I want to make a lot more videos. And Whimsy, I do promise you, I'm going to do more readings on here. I will do some today. That's once we get to it. I just wanted to talk about the Oscars first, but see, Whimsy is wonderful for me because, my darling friend, you take me out of my comfort zones. And you push me and you show me and you teach me what I can actually do. And it's often a lot more than I could ever believe I could have done in the first place. I wouldn't be doing this show if it weren't for you. I wouldn't be doing any of this if it weren't for you. I am grateful to you with all my heart and soul. Oh, wait, Whimsy. So Turner Classics are here on YouTube? I didn't know that. Knock me over with a feather. No, knock me over with Demi Moore's feather duster dress she wore last night. Did you see that? All those feathers sticking out all over the place. She looked like she was going to flap her arms and fly away like a buzzard. No, I shouldn't be mean to Demi. Demi Moore, I've actually met a number of times. She's a very sweet person. So please, I'm being I'm kidding her in a Joan Rivers kind of way, but yes, that dress did make her look like a buzzard or a feather duster. But it was by far not the worst of the evening. There were some people who looked like they literally took down their shower curtain and draped it around them. Oh, what can I do with this tablecloth? What can I do with this leftover gift wrap from the 99-cent store? Oh, I can do inventive things with my trash bags. It's just like, God, what are people thinking? That's part of the fun of the show. The Oracle of Whimsy. Chuck, can I have a tarot card about how my spring break is going to go? Oh, it's actually our spring break, Whimsy, but yes. Well, it's not a tarot card, but it's my Oracle cards here. And let me see what's going to come up here. Let me see here. Well, these are interesting, Whimsy, because, we are tentatively planning to bring a couple of people along, one of those being the wonderful Tony Acosta. I had dinner with her last week. Amazing, amazing lady. I hope she comes with us. But these were the first two things that came up, Whimsy. This trip is going to have a lot of psychic awareness and epiphany. It's like things are going to come to us while we're there. I say we're traveling, but it's going to be psychic awareness and epiphanies. These were the first two things that jumped out of the deck here, and that's the way I work. I just let things come out. I love this. Rest. That sound good, Whimsy? Rest. Peaceful rest. And there's going to be a lot of partnerships and love. I like that. And family, because I feel like we are like family together. Tawny, we're all like family. We're all part of the same tribe. There's going to be grace and there's going to be gifts coming from this. So far, I think that looks really good. Whimsy, you have to tell me what you've gotten in your cards. We don't have to do it right now necessarily, but maybe tomorrow on the show or whatever you come up with. But this was the main thing. It's going to be psychic awareness and epiphany. Maybe there's something about being in that location, in that vicinity. Maybe it's us being together, but epiphanies are going to come our ways. How does that sound to you, Whimsy? Let me know. Or let's see. What was this here? Catswall, the man who owns my little castle YouTube channel, has a ghost in his castle. I asked him if we could interview him. Oh, that sounds great. I was talking, Whimsy, I can tell you this now, because we're trying to get Joyce Petrus, the astrologer, on our show. I hear I'm talking all this stuff publicly, but it's okay. She doesn't mind. And, we're still trying to get her computer issues ironed out. We think they sent her the wrong computer. So we're probably not going to be able to use her tomorrow, but maybe Thursday. But anyway, Joyce was telling me when she was in Scotland the first time, she stayed overnight in a haunted castle. Oh, Whimsy, this could be great. Maybe this is part of our epiphanies we're going to be receiving. Joel Tilston, the village of Tilston. My paternal name is in the before 16th century, is near London. Well, my background is English. Dransfield goes way back in England. I don't know how many hundreds of years. I mean, supposedly I have a lot of cousins over there that I've never met. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, my actual origins were in Holland, and my family came over to England, and Dransfield actually meant drain the fields, for the farmers, growing the tulips and so forth. We helped to drain the fields. Hence my name. People are always getting my name wrong. I always have to spell it out, even when I'm on the phone. Okay, it's D like in dog, R like in run, A like an ant. You have to do that whole thing because people want to make it Dreamsfield, Transfield, Grantsfield. I'm going, no, Dransfield. I'll spell it for you. No, Whimsy, that's exciting. I was saying, I don't know if you saw me at the beginning of the show, but I was saying, this is going to be a working trip, where, we plan to do a lot of videos while we're over there. And so I think that's just amazing. And oh gosh, who else can we interview when we're there? But I do love the idea of just working with people in the streets, and we're going to be going through all throughout England. So maybe in different regions we can talk to people. I was saying also at the beginning of the show, you and I love theater. We love the London theater. It's basically their Broadway, but regional theater is incredible also. So I'm sure we can incorporate that into our trip. Would anybody else like a card reading while I'm here? Let me know. Ask me a question. I'm here. This is one of the things I'm branching out into, doing more of this. I do this on the shows with Whimsy. And Whimsy can tell you, she had to bring me on kicking and screaming. I was like, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. People are going to think I'm a fake. I'm a fraud. That. No, it's been only a very positive, rewarding experience. Like I said, she takes me out of my comfort zones, teaches me what I can really do. And I read guided messages from people on the show. I've had some really powerful stuff coming in. Gotten to where this is second nature to me now, because we do a lot of our readings on current events. And that's Whimsy's the old pro at this. I'm still adapting to, like, you got 30 seconds to do a reading, or sometimes Whimsy will be doing her reading and I'm still going through my cards and I'm still trying to put it together. But there's a good thing about flying by the seat of your pants. It's kind of like throwing yourself in the deep end of the water. You either sink or you start swimming. It's what I do here. Let's see. So Tammy, Stephanie said that Tammy would like one. Do you have a question for me, Tammy? Or Stephanie, do you have a question on behalf of Tammy? And I'll see what my cards say. And Joel, yes, Joel, you do have great questions for Taco Tuesdays. You are amazing. Every time you already have us prepared. You have us peppered with questions, with comments. You come up with things that are intelligent, provocative, great things to explore. Let's see here. So please, we have to, Whimsy, we have to stay in the Cotswolds. There have been many haunted castles. Maybe that's why I was getting that psychic reading thing. And then epiphany. We're going to have epiphanies when we're there. Renee, have fish and chips. Oh yes, I've done that, where they wrap it up in newspaper. Lots of times greasy newspaper, but the fish and chips are excellent there. And the Indian food in England is so good. And I find Chinese food is a lot better there also. Oh yeah. In fact, I think one of the best Chinese meals I ever had was in Cambridge. And I remember that restaurant. It was Chinese food, and they were playing Edith Piaf, an Edith Piaf album on the music speakers. And this was back in the 80s. I loved the food, and I fell in love with Edith Piaf, and I've loved her ever since. And by the way, sidetrack for one moment here, a really great movie is La Vie en Rose. The French actress Marion Cotillard won a Best Actress Oscar. And I consider it one of the single greatest performances ever put on film. Just want to suggest that to you. Speaking of Edith Piaf, where's some other comments here? Pat Sparrow, can you do general card reading, a message from the universe? Well, I normally do specific questions from people, but let me put that out there. Is there a specific message from the universe? Okay. Right now, a lot of people are feeling This is no surprise because everything going on right now with our news, a lot of us are feeling so overwhelmed right now, almost like we're fighting for our survival right now. I'm not saying that this is what it actually is. I'm just saying this is what it's feeling like to many of us right now. We're so overwhelmed to where it's like, how are we going to survive all of this right now? But I have always believed it's about the power of individual people, individually and collectively. It's like a drop of water contains all of the components of the ocean. Literally, a drop of water has everything in there. You put enough of those drops of water together, you get the ocean, you get tides, you get storms, you get a lot of power. And when I've been doing channeled readings, and a lot of these I've read on the show with Whimsy, such as Eleanor Roosevelt, Jackie Kennedy, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, they've all come through that. They keep saying the same thing, the continual message: never forget how powerful you are and how powerful you are collectively. And you're much stronger than a certain person in DC right now, certain orange person. We are a lot more powerful collectively. So that first card came up to set the stage, to remind us of that, how a lot of us are feeling like we're worried about our very survival. But I want to throw out, we're going to be great. We're going to be great because individually, the message I got here, we need to be in our solitude. We need to be in our meditation. We need to be in that place of calm within, like our own inner, like a mill pond or like a still ocean. We need to be calm within our solitude. And what I'm getting is imagination, our ingenuity, our imagination, like what I read earlier with Whimsy about epiphany, psychic awareness. As an artist and a writer, I know that imagination is very much like that. We channel when we're in our imagination. You see all the stars, the flowers. You see the child play blissfully running through all of this. This is where we need to be. We need to be in our meditation. We need to be in our imagination. We need to be in our joy and be in our artistry. In our artistry, you don't have to necessarily draw or paint or sculpt or write or play music. Your art might be cooking in the kitchen. You might be a gourmet cook. You may love working on your car. I have a niece who loves being an accountant. She loves numbers. That's her art. It's whatever that is that stokes your imagination. There's a lot of power in that. And we get a lot of answers, instructions, how to survive, how to move forward, how to prevail. And the last card I got in that was new life. It's going to lead to a new life. It's going to lead to better things. And, Whimsy, we have found this on our show. Right now things look discouraging as can be, but we're heading towards things that are going to be positive and better. So that's the message I got from the universe there. And I've got to scroll through my comments here and get back where I was. I forgot who asked me that. Pardon me here. I'm going to go back up just a bit. Oh, yes, it was Pat Sparrow. Can you do a general card reading, a message from the universe? Well, thank you for asking me for that, because that's the message I just got. Oracle Wednesday, can we take the train for 2 nights in Wales? Yes. Does that mean we can do Scotland too? We can do it all? I would love to do that. I would love to do it. Oh, I hope, Whimsy, we can make a way to fit all this in. Let's see. Cotswolds was Cotswolds was spelling it wrong. Well, I wouldn't know because I wouldn't know how to spell it in the first place. Ward, thank you for joining me here. You almost missed you all. I crashed and overslept. I've been doing that a lot lately. I find myself crashing and falling asleep on my couch some nights. I never admit to it being my age. No, I don't want to acknowledge it being my age, but yes, I find that I need to sometimes take a little nap, a little cat nap. a little Sasha nap. Here she is. She's a little sleepy right now. So that's okay, Ward. Thank you for joining. And I see people saying hello to each other again. And Kelly, it's time for me to put the phone on charge. Yeah, sometimes I forget to put mine on too, and I see I'm down to like 14%. Ward, greeting. Oh yeah, you're saying greetings, people. I did get to see actually she's Ms. Streisand. Ms. Streisand's tribute to the late Mr. Redford. That was beautiful. That was so beautiful. I mean, the friendship they had between each other, that was like a 5-decade friendship. And, when I see actors in movies that have extraordinary chemistry with each other, my gut feeling is these are people who have had past lives together. They have that soul connection already, and they're bringing that to the screen. So I wasn't surprised to hear that Barbra Streisand and Robert Redford had a 50-year friendship after that movie, because it's all there on screen. But it was lovely the way she spoke of him. And even with her voice diminished now, with the flaws, there was so much heart when she sang that last verse of The Way We Were. And I was thrilled. I was thrilled. I am a consummate Streisand fan. I've been a fan of hers since I was 13, 14 years old. Seen her 4 times in concert. First time I ever saw her, I was lucky that I could afford it. But she hadn't performed for 27 years when she did this concert in Anaheim. She came back and toured in some other cities. I had a vow that if I had to sell furniture, if I had to sell belongings, I was going to get a really good ticket. Well, fortunately, I did have a little bit of money from an inheritance, and I bought myself a seat 10 rows center from the stage. It was prohibitively expensive, and it was worth it to be that close to my beloved Barbra Streisand. And I was so close to her, I swear I could hear her voice, her natural voice, without the amplification. It was just powerful, and surreal for someone who had been listening to her albums for years and years and years. I was like, oh my God, I'm hearing her real voice coming out of her throat in the moment. Anyway, that was great last night. What was this, Whimsy? Chuck, can we take a train from the Cotswold to Edinburgh? Of course we can. That's a great idea. I love it, Whimsy. I love it. That's an exciting idea. Yeah, let's make it happen. We're going to make it happen. And Kadam, yes, Chuck, we outnumber the fascists. We most definitely do. And I feel in the readings I've been doing for people, and even not doing readings, it's just obvious to me, because also, I've said this as Whimsy's assistant, I talk to people all over the country, and I have felt and experienced people waking up, rising up, saying, realizing, a year ago, people very scared, and rightfully so, in my opinion, and people finally discovering their personal power within and recognizing that if our government is going to let us down and not be here for us, we have to be here for each other. And we are going to pull each other up, and we are going to survive together, and we are going to prevail, and we are powerful. We're powerful. So yeah, we do. Oh, Joyce, you joined on. I just spoke with you a little while on the phone. We're trying to get your computer issues ironed out, and we will, Joyce. I just mentioned to Whimsy what's going on, and Whimsy is very, very understanding about this. But we're hoping we can get this fixed. If you want, I'll even talk to you after the show so we can get to the bottom of things, get you on the show as our resident astrologer. And Geocosmic Valentine, I know we want to have you on also. A lot of people we want to have on the show. It's great. Ward here. Greetings, Dr. Whimsy. Are you and Sir Chuck going to Great Britain? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. This is our plan. It's going to be a working trip, but we'll make it a vacation too. And I like those cards I pulled for us. That sounds like we're going to get some rest too. And I love that I pulled that family card, because Yeah, it's like what I said to Stephanie and Tammy. Whimsy, you know I mean this about you also. You're my family. You're very much my family. You know, you don't have to be related by blood to be family. Um, well, let's see. But anyway, Stephanie, you had asked me about Tammy pulling a card. I can just pull something, but did you have a question for me? Please let me know. I'll wait just a moment to see if that pops up. Otherwise, I pull a card. I don't want you to think I forgot about you. Joel Chilson, I was wondering what my cousin John Adams is feeling about our situation. Do you mean John Adams, the president, John Adams? If I were to do that, I'd have to really sit down and meditate on that. I don't know if I could do that on the spot, but maybe I could have a message for you tomorrow, Joel. I mean, if you could elaborate a little further. Let me see. Let me scroll down here a bit. What was this award? Any POV or anyway, any point of view regarding Miss Minnelli's claim about Lady Gaga at the 2022 Oscars? Well, you know, I want to read her book. I want to either listen to her book or I want to listen to the audio. Usually, with autobiographies, I like to listen to the audio version because I like to hear the person, hear the inflections in their voice, hear the emotion. But I was a little surprised by that because, you know, for any of us who watched that, Gaga, you know, seemed so maternal and caring. And, you know, when Liza was clearly distressed and seeming out of it, and there she was in the wheelchair and frail and confused, and Gaga could be heard on the mic, "Don't worry, I've got you." And we were like, "Oh, that's so sweet." Well, Liza gave a very different version of that, and Liza wanted to even the score. She was very pissed about it. Liza's version was that she was supposed to be sitting in a director's chair. You know, Liza has difficulty walking because of her hip replacements and her bad back, and she's done a lot of damage to her body from years of dancing, and so she was going to be already seated in a director's chair when the lights came up at the very last moment before they were going on stage. They said, "Oh no, we can't let you do that. It's not safe for you to be in that chair. We got to put you in a wheelchair." And Liza's like, "No, don't bring me out in a wheelchair." And she had no choice. So they wheel her out like she's some invalid. And Liza said because she was so much lower, she couldn't read the teleprompter. So she looked like an idiot. She looked like she was not in her mind, like she was struggling. And there's Gaga going, "Don't worry, I've got you." And Liza was basically like, "Well, F that." You know, Gaga sweeping in like she's some hero or something, and I'm the pathetic little invalid or something. And so she was pissed about it. And that's the version she gives. Now, I don't know if Lady Gaga has formally responded to that or not. I'd like to see her version, her version of the story. I've always had the impression that Gaga is a good person. I've talked to people who have met her and say she's a very sweet, kind, compassionate woman. And maybe she really did mean, "Don't worry, I've got you." But Liza did not take it the right way. I think Liza was just more pissed about they forced her into that wheelchair, and it was deeply humiliating. You know, the Oscars goes out to like 1 billion people around the world, and there's Liza being made to look like a fool and an invalid. So that's the account she gave in her book. But I am looking forward to that autobiography. I want to see her stories about her mother, Judy Garland, and her father, Vincent Minnelli. And also, there should be some good stuff in there about Lucille Ball, because Liza was dating Desi Arnaz Jr., and Lucille Ball almost was her mother-in-law. And there's also a story, and I got into trouble for this in one of my videos. And this was a video I did a year or two ago that shocked me that people condemned me for it. I mean, I got really angry messages from people, and for the life of me, I don't know why, because it's an actual story told by Lucille Ball herself. Lucille Ball, when she and Desi were making the Long trailer, and Vincent Minnelli was directing it, Vincent was in a quandary because he had to go to Europe his next film was going to be the movie Lust for Life about Vincent Van Gogh, you know, with Kirk Douglas. and he was going to have to be out of the country for quite a few months. And according to Lucy, who said, according to Vincent, Judy Garland was in a really bad place at the time. Judy struggled with drugs and alcohol her whole life. She had good times, she had bad times. And according to Vincent, he worried about leaving Liza with her. He didn't feel she was capable at the time. And Lucille Ball said, why don't you leave Liza with Desi and me? We'll take care of her for several months. And this is from Lucille Ball herself. Well, I had people making vicious comments. How dare you say that about Judy Garland? How dare you say she was an unfit mother? How dare you say she couldn't take care of Liza? Oh, that's BS about Lucy keeping her all those months. And I had to answer people saying, but this is what Lucy said. Anyway, you never know how the public is going to respond. I got really crucified for that story. But anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing Liza Minnelli's account. Was she actually raised by Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz for a while? It's public fact that she was dating Desi Jr. They allegedly were engaged for a while. Lucy was going to be her mother-in-law. I want to read all of that or hear it. Didn't mean to get off the track too much there. People here saying hello to each other. We have a little family here, don't we? Look like a little party. But anyway, Ward, you're asking if I had a point of view about Liza Minnelli there. Joel Tilson, you saw an orb go by. You might have seen a reflection from my light here. I don't know, but not impossible. It's an orb. There's all kinds of stuff going on in this apartment. Let's see. Let me go back here. My comments skipped on me. Let me go back up. It skipped through a lot of comments here. Okay, you saw an orb going by. Whimsy, we are build Oasis and clearing the bad Trump. Trump is just a tool being used to clear the old and will be gone. And he will be gone when they are done with him. Yes. Yeah, we have talked about that at great length on the show that we do together. And I definitely agree. And I even said on the show, and maybe it wasn't appropriate to make a joke, but when I heard you say Trump is a tool, yeah, he's a tool, all right. I think that administration is coming to an end. We're seeing that in our readings. Joel, did you just see that orb? Well, I didn't see it. I'll have to replay my show here later. I missed it because I'm here talking and focusing on all you lovely people here. What was this here? Yes, Chuck. And Whimsy said, yes, Chuck and I are going to Britain and still planning the places: London, Cotswold, Wales, Edinburgh, Manchester, and the Lake District. Wow, that right there is quite an itinerary. I guess it's okay to say this, Whimsy, we purposely have been waiting until the end of the Mercury retrograde before buying any tickets or anything. You're not supposed to ever do that during a retrograde. But the luxury of this retrograde, it's given us time to talk and to plan. And Whimsy and I both channel, we receive, we get intuitive hits. And I think I even said this to you, Whimsy, I feel like let's turn this over to the universe. We're going to get the perfect trip. The perfect trip. I really believe that's all going to be coming to us, and we're going to be guided exactly as we're supposed to be guided. Kadam, there's a great one-woman play, Vampira, a Hollywood horror story, on tour now. Saw it in Silver Lake last week. Wow, my home stretch here, Silver Lake. I briefly met Vampira. I forget her real name. I used to go to some of these Hollywood memorabilia shows, where they'll have tables set up and a lot of actors will sit there and sign autographs and photos, and they'll pose for pictures with you. That's how I got Barbara Eden to autograph a genie bottle replica for me. I've met some interesting people over the years. Anyway, I don't remember when this was, but it was Vampira. I wish I could respectfully remember her actual name. And so I just said hello to her and all, but and she just seemed like a quaint little old lady, but I'm mainly interested in Vampira because she used to date James Dean. And she also, I believe her claim to fame was she hosted a local show here in Los Angeles. It was like weekend, like Saturday morning or Saturday night or something, where they would show horror films, and she'd be in her full vampire get up, and it was very campy. And Cassandra Peterson's Elvira, of course, is a direct takeoff on Vampira. So much so that Vampira tried to sue her. I don't think sued successfully, but did try to sue her for infringing upon her character. But yeah, Whimsy, we have some extraordinary plans here, and Whimsy is just amazing here. Stephanie, you said you were trying to message me here. Just one second. Let me check my phone. Oh, Stephanie, I promise you, I did not block you. I don't know what's happening here. Where did you message me? Here on my phone or here on YouTube or what? I don't know. I promise you, I would never ever block you. I don't know what's going on. But you reached me here. So if you could tell me the question you want to ask for Tammy, I'll be happy to pull a card. If you want to keep it private, just text me right here at this number, and I'll do that for you. But that's interesting about a one-woman play, Vampira, here in Silver Lake. Maybe I'll check that out. Thank you for letting me know. Sherry O2E. Hi, Chuck. I have lived in my home in Florida for 40 years, but we have flooded in 2022 and 2024 from the hurricanes. I love my home, but I'm afraid of it happening again. Should I move? That's something, and Whimsy, you've been talking a lot about on your show about the fire horse and water, like coming into, I forget the specifics, but a lot of people are experiencing flooding, water coming in to try to cool down all of this fire of this year. I had an incident in my own home. I told on here a few weeks ago, my bathroom got flooded. My bathroom sink was clogged, and somehow the faucet got loose or something. It was like a little trickle of water, but it was on all night. And I woke up the next morning with like that much water on the floor in the bathroom in the hallway. It was not good. Literal flooding in my home. But let me see if anything comes up here. Should you move? Well, I'm certainly picking up here that there's it's justifiable, and you more or less have said it already. There is fear because there's definitely shadow and survival. You're worried. You're very worried about the safety of your home. But should you move? Well, you are going through a lot of decisions right now because you're worried about a loss from this. That's coming up. You're even feeling like there's a certain amount of risk staying there. Now, I'm not saying that it is risk, but I think this is what you're feeling right now. It's weighing heavily on you. You're exhausted by all of this. Let's see here. Sorry, my cat's here in the way of the cards. You're being called upon to really listen to your own intuition right now. It's like there's an epiphany. There's some kind of message here that you are capable of receiving on your own through your own intuition. I don't know if you do any meditation, you do any kind of journal writing, but it's a time to get very quiet, very still, and just really, really, really listen. And I always tell people one of the best ways to follow your intuition, and this was put to me by my wonderful friend Jennifer Norton, who's a great energy healer in her own right. She said, it should either feel like flowing water or chopping wood. Meaning if it's a yes, it should just like flow like water. It should just be peaceful. It should be calm. If it's a no, it's arduous. It's like chopping wood. And I found that is a great analogy to give to people to understand your intuition. But I'm getting like this is an answer you've got to soul search on your own. It's almost even irresponsible for me just in a quick reading to hear to say, oh yes, you should move. You shouldn't move. But that's coming through loud and clear. All the worry you've got right now, the risk you're feeling. I'm being told you need to find this answer yourself. You can find this answer, but let me see if there's anything more specific here for you. I'm sorry, I can't do this faster. Okay, this is something where I'm also. Do I have? Thought I had a pendulum here. Yes. I'm going to do this as a backup. Pendulum. Okay. Should this woman move from her home? Okay. I want you to really do your own soul searching on this, because this is an answer you've got to find yourself. But I just did the pendulum here. And the pendulum usually will give me it's either a yes, a no, or there's a reason it goes in the maybe. What I got was not a firm no, but it was a no leaning into the maybe, because I'm somehow sensing, and this is just me, I'm sensing maybe you're not supposed to leave your home, but you're supposed to find ways to protect your home, find ways to safeguard it. How can this be prevented? Really do your homework, but also just really, really listen to your intuition right now. And you're going to get an answer that's going to feel in sync with you. But offhand, I'm just telling you what I'm getting offhand. And many times, Whimsy can say this also, we're reading off the energy of the moment, and energy can shift and it can change. But I'm kind of getting like, it's not like a strong, definite thing that you should move. It was leaning more towards no. Stephanie, did you get through to me here? Let me check my phone. Try messaging me here. Period. What is the question you would like me to pull a card for with Tammy? Okay, Stephanie, I just voice dictated that into my phone just in case you're not watching here. But Sherry, you've lived in your home for 40 years in Florida, and and I understand your concern with the 2 floodings, and you love your home, but you are afraid. That's coming through. Yeah, I hope what I received helped you. That's what I honestly was getting. Joyce Petrus, you should try high tea. Oh, yes. Yes, Joyce, you and I were talking about this on the phone, and Whimsy and I have discussed this already. We are, right, Whimsy? We are definitely going to do a high tea. I don't know if you've ever done a high tea. I have never done a high tea. I almost did a high tea in Honolulu on my 50th birthday. I forget the name of it's a very famous hotel. It's the Pink Hotel in Waikiki Beach. Very elegant. And they were doing a high tea there. And I think at the time it was like $50. It wasn't cheap. And I was considering it on my birthday, but I had other activities going on and I didn't get around to it. But I think, Whimsy, we should do high tea in London. We should do it near Buckingham Palace. We'll have our pinkies extended, and we'll have our scones and our jam and our clotted cream. I'm looking forward to that very much. Let's see here. Joel Chilson, Barbara Streisand's voice is so pure. Yeah, I think it was Carol Burnett who said this. They were doing a television show together, like a live variety show in the early 60s. This was when Streisand was first getting known. And Carol Burnett stood in the wings, mesmerized. And she said, that has to be the most beautiful gift God ever gave anyone. It just so pure. And, Barbara Streisand is adamant she never took a voice lesson in her whole life. Well, no, wait, took one. And basically the voice teacher was full of crap and did not even know where to begin to teach someone of Streisand's innate genius. And Streisand said that was that. Never took a voice lesson again. She wrote in her autobiography, she almost called in a voice teacher, and it was when she was doing the Broadway album. And it was a song from The King and I. Trying to remember what it was, but anyway, it required her to sing a high E at the end, and that was one note out of Barbara's range, and she couldn't hit it. And so she thought, okay, I'm going to call in a voice teacher and help me to do this. I want to hit this note as it was written. Well, anyway, Barbara was just playing around the studio, hit the note perfectly. They got it recorded. The voice teacher showed up. I think Barbara paid her and said, oh, thank you, but I won't be needing your services. And her son, Jason, who is a marvelous singer, was asked, well, does your mother give you voice lessons? He said, oh, no. My mother wouldn't know how to give voice lessons. She never had them herself. It's just incredible to be born with that level of genius, to be able to just right out the gate, to be able to sing the way she has always sung. Let's see what's this. Hi, Andy. Thank you for joining. It's 19 degrees here, and the darn fireplace put me to sleep. You know, a lot of people are falling asleep in the evening. I was mentioning that earlier in the show, how I've been cat napping in the evening more than usual. And, you know, Andy, frankly, when it's cold and you got blanket around you in the fireplace, that in itself is very conducive to sleep. But I hope you're doing well. I hope you're happy. Sounds so peaceful. The kin, yeah. I'm looking. Oh, Stephanie here. Oh, okay, Stephanie. Tammy would like a card about her choice of the artist she chose about her audiobooks. Oh, you mean somebody she chose to read her audiobooks? Personally, I think Tammy should do her own books. You want my opinion? I would love to hear Tammy read her own books, you know, put her own personality and inflections into it. But let's see here. You would like a card about the choice of the artist she chose for her audiobook. By the way, that's something I'm trying to break into, audiobooks. Let's see here. Sorry to be so slow here. I'm trying to get something. I'm getting conflicting messages here, so let's see. This is where I wish I could talk to you directly, because first of all, I'm getting, you know, it's obvious there's a lot of decisions going around right now, but competition decisions. This is what I'd like to ask you. Is there more than one artist she's deciding between? Because I'm feeling like this isn't the only choice. Like there's somebody else, like there's competition decisions around this. I'm getting a mixture here. This is where it's confusing me. I'm getting both discontent and pleasure. Now, if I could talk to you, you could help me refine this, but it's like you're on the fence. There's a competition here, a tug of war, like you're happy and you're not happy. There's some discontent and there is pleasure. There's confusion. I'm trying to narrow this down, but definitely decisions being made about this. Tammy, you're going to have to make a hard business decision here. You know, that might mean being tough, you know, maybe having to let somebody down, that you don't want to let down or whatever, you're going to have to do what's right for you. It's going to have to be a cold, hard business decision, what feels right to you. I'm feeling okay. Whoever you get, ultimately, this is a good card. I got partnerships in love. Like, it is going to be harmonious ultimately once you have made peace that this is who you want to do, to be the artist reading your audiobooks. It will eventually be good. I like this. I also got the bravado card. Yeah, it's going to work out well, what you ultimately decide upon. Does that resonate with you, Tammy? Let me know. But that's what I'm getting for you. What was this? Joel Chilson Chuck. I have a Logitech camera with a built-in microphone with 500 Mbps down 30 upload. Well, Joel, I'm not too familiar with that camera. It sounds good. Sounds very good. Do you have plans with that camera? Are you going to maybe do shows of your own, maybe? Or what are you planning to do with the camera? Please tell me more. Yeah, I mean, it certainly sounds special. Rockin' Pony Lake, I was wondering where both you and Andy and Ward were. Well, I mean, that's up to Andy and Ward, because I'm deeply respectful of people's privacy, confidentiality on here. And some people don't want to reveal that type of thing on internet shows like this. The internet is just such, Tammy, you know this yourself from your, I won't go into specifics, but you've done your work on TikTok. You know what I mean? It's a whole mixed bag of people out there in this world. I've been lucky thus far. I haven't had too many bad experiences, but you do get it. You're always open to this, always open to people making mean, nasty comments and things like that. Last year, during the presidential election, I made it very clear who I was supporting. And I was even doing volunteer work for her. So let's just say I got some very, very mean, nasty comments, and we had to block a lot of those people. I was even shocked by it, but because I purposely keep this show very unpolitical. I really try. That's the politics are for the shows I do with Whimsy. I keep this one more neutral, more about fun old Hollywood stories and that type of thing. Now we're incorporating readings, but I just want to say that's why some people don't want to say where they're from. And I respect that. So I leave that up to Andy and Ward. And Joel Chilson, you are saying President John Adams. I don't know if I could have a message for you by tomorrow, but maybe I can ponder that. Sometimes what I do when I do a reading, I just sit down like a blank slate and I just ask for that person, and whatever comes through comes through. And I've been very surprised. So maybe John Adams, President John Adams, or for that matter, any of our presidents, with what's going on right now. And let's see, on the show with Whimsy, I have channeled Ronald Reagan, Harry Truman, and Richard Nixon. And then I've had First Ladies Eleanor Roosevelt and Jackie Kennedy, and then Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So those have been the most political things, but it's very interesting, the perspectives that I have gotten from those three presidents. Quite frank, and I don't have them here in front of me to read to you. And many times when I do something like that, I do wipe the slate clean. It's hard to remember what I said, but I've read them on the show. I can always pull them up again. I've got them on my computer. But let's just say they're not happy with what's going on right now. And they are also giving the message that we collectively are what will save this country. We will save democracy. We have the power to do this, and we're already showing the power that we have that. Let me scroll through the comments here. But yeah, I'll try for President John Adams, Joel. That's a great request. Let's see. Wow, I've got some great people on here today. Thank you very much. You really honor me. Really honor me. Thank you. I am laughing at all the people saying hello to each other. Was to Andy. You said it sounds like it wasn't Liza or Gaga's fault. I bet it was either due to a dip in the floor or low sitting wheelchair, but it was Gaga. If it was Gaga, I would have given Liza a hand to help her stand if she could. I don't know if Liza can stand anymore. The reason I say that because I've been seeing a lot of her videos, because of her autobiography, a lot of videos on Facebook, Instagram, that type of thing, and she's always sitting. So maybe she can't stand or walk anymore. I've seen her twice in concert, and the last time I saw her was at the Hollywood Bowl. And she could stand and walk on stage, but I would say 80% of the show she did sitting down in a director's chair. And Liza made a great little joke about it. She said, when I was younger and I did this, it was cute. Now it's just because I'm old. She was just very frank with the audience. Let's see here. It's jumped here. Let me get back on track with the comments here. Oh boy, I don't know how this happens. I just scroll down and it just skips like big sections here. Let me get back to where I was. Let me get back. Okay, this went way too far down. I apologize here. Give me a moment. I'm going way up here. Okay, here we are. Ward, I saw in the People interview that Miss Minnelli said that she attempted to apologize to Desi Jr. for breaking it off all those decades ago, but Mr. Arnaz said he only recalled love and let it go. And that sounds like Desi Jr. I may have mentioned on here, I have spent time with Desi Jr., not for many, many years, but back in 2001, I spent a weekend in Boulder, Nevada, where he and his now late wife, Amy, lived. And I had breakfast with Desi Jr. and had a lovely conversation about a number of things. And I won't talk about here because he's a very, very private man. I won't violate that. But let's just say he did speak very fondly of Liza. I'll leave it at that. And I thought that was a lovely thing that Liza said, where he said, and she apologized for all the pain. He said, I just remember the love. What was this here, Joel? The pressure of the Hollywood executives with their actors and actresses ruined their lives. Yes, that's true. A lot of truth to that, Ward. And yeah, this is a good point, Ward. You said that you wish that Miss Minnelli and Lady Gaga had just talked it over before anyone made any statements to the media. I think they could have avoided misunderstanding. Yes, that is a good given there. But the way Liza told it, it was like literally seconds before they were to go out on stage under the lights, literally seconds. They thrust that on her, said, no, you got to sit in this wheelchair. And she was like so thrown by it. And there wasn't even time to do anything about it or talk with Gaga about it. But you're right. They should have talked about this later, but maybe Liza felt like she had a score to settle and she wanted to put it in her book. I don't know. I hope Gaga will comment on this eventually. It deserves to be addressed, both sides. And, Joel, my late aunt. Oh, I'm assuming you mean your late aunt and uncle lived their final years at Silver Lake. Silver Lake is a beautiful area. Really has come up over the years. I remember when I first moved to Los Angeles, Silver Lake was considered very run down, almost a scary neighborhood to be in. Now there are multi-million-dollar houses there. Celebrities live there. It's very chic to live in Silver Lake. Great little restaurants and shops, and places to walk. I go down there sometimes. Looking for some more comments here. Oh yeah, Danny, you were just fixing to say, Valerie's real name is Cassandra Peterson. What was this here, Ward? Yes, and Miss Peterson said that Vincent Price wound up being warm and surprisingly friendly to her, as in as in one of her better friends. Well, that's nice to know. And of course, Vincent Price. A really fun thing to look up on YouTube is back in the 80s when Joan Rivers had her own late night talk show. He was her guest. And this was around the time that Michael Jackson's Thriller came out and created quite a sensation. And Joan Rivers got Vincent Price to do the Thriller, the rap he does on the album. She got him to do it live, and it's on YouTube. It's a lot of fun. Recommend you checking it out. Yeah, Whimsy. I love old movies too. Old movies are comfort food, don't you think? I know my friends Stephanie and Tammy feel that way. Whenever we get together, we always end up watching old movies, and of course, we have a few we watch. Shall we say more than once? It's okay to say this. We love Mommy Dearest. It's one of those movies that never gets old. Where we know all the dialogue, we can shout back the lines at the TV set, but old movies like I had the Turner Classic Movies on HBO Max, my streaming channel. Got a really good deal, $2.99 a month for the next 12 months. Then I'll probably drop it, but it was so cheap. I couldn't say no to that. And I've been watching like Joan Crawford and Mildred Pierce, so much Betty Davis, and now Voyager. Oh God, those are fun. It's just like a whole other world to escape to. No, Jim. Oh my goodness, am I too late? No, you're not too late. Still on here. I was the one who was late getting on here today. Yeah, I'm trying to scroll and do this slowly so it doesn't go blip on me again, but invariably it will. Stephanie and Tammy, I don't know if that card reading applied or not. Let me know. Yeah, I've heard Vincent Price was a nice man. I would tell you someone I know who I hear about personality-wise, who was the exact opposite of the character he played. Paul Gleason, knows for his wise-ass principal in The Breakfast Club. Well, I can tell you a lot, because I've met a lot of actors. In fact, Dr. Whimsy and I used to work together. West Hollywood. We didn't just meet celebrities. We had regulars. We had people. I mentioned Anne Hathaway coming in every day. Adrian Brody. I saw him all the time. Jeff Goldblum all the time. Where they just became people, just regular people. But I found many times that actors are very different from, say, a character they have that works well for them, so they just stick with it. Pardon me 1 second here. I've learned to take a pause when I take a drink rather than try to gulp it down on the air, because when that happens, I usually splash myself on the face and get water all over me. But people come to mind. Joan Collins. I love Joan Collins. She was one of my sweetest customers. And people were very amazed when they'd ask me about her. And I'd say, well, she's very down to earth. She's easy to talk to. She's warm. And people actually were disappointed because they wanted me to say, oh, she's a bitch. She's a haughty, rich bitch. She's just like Alexis Carrington on Dynasty. No, not at all like that. Sacha Baron Cohen comes to mind, because, those characters he plays, like Borat, very obnoxious characters. In person, he's a very genteel, he's just very refined, just a very refined, proper English gentleman. But he lets it all out into those characters. Will Ferrell, the comedian, all those crazy characters over at the top he plays. In person, very low key, very, very polite. He's one of those people who has manners, who will say like, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, those kind of manners. Yeah, so that's what I mean. We often forget that sometimes people are just very good actors and they're very good with characters. Holland Taylor comes to mind. She always had that character. She played a lot, like on Bosom Buddies. She played it on 2.5 Men. The Practice, that persona she had. And Holland Taylor, another one, just very sweet, down to earth. Not like that at all. I loved her. Better get back to some comments here. Oh, Revenge of the Nerds. I haven't watched that movie in a long time. That is so much fun. Joyce, you even fell asleep and had a little nap, huh? We're all falling asleep all over the place. Rock and Pony Lee, the news is so intense lately. It's exhausting. Yes. In fact, when I do my card readings for people, now I don't know if I can find the card, honestly, because, when I do these, I just let cards fall out. I don't not look through the cards, but see if I can find it here. A card that comes up a lot. See now that I'm intentionally looking for a card, I can't find it. Hopefully that lets you know that what I do is authentic. I just read what comes out. But anyway, one of my cards, and I showed it earlier, is exhaustion. And I get that a lot when I'm reading, I'm doing the show with Whimsy and we're talking about news events and I'm reading for the general consciousness of people. That exhaustion card comes up a lot. As you just said, the news takes so much out of us emotionally, mentally, emotionally, and in turn, that affects us physically, right, Whimsy? Patients with blown out adrenals, adrenal fatigue, all of that stress is horrific. So it affects our blood pressure, our heart rate. It can bring depression. So yes, I've talked with people. I make phone calls all over the country and talk with people about things like this. I get people who just say, I can't watch the news right now. Energetically, my nervous system cannot handle this. And it's understandable because we have for the last year just had a mallet. We've been hit over the head, over the head, over the head, over the head, to where our human evolution has not caught up with this. It probably can't catch up with this. I keep up with it because it's part of my business. It's literally part of my responsibility and my job, working with Whimsy to be up on the news. And I have to keep up with it every day because it's so involved. It's so intense and it's so volatile and it's flipping and flopping all over the place. And so I have to stay on top of it. Like when the war in Iran broke out, first thing I did that first weekend was just go right back to the beginning. Like, how did this start? Where's this all from? I don't want to get into it here. This is what we talk about on Whimsy Show, but I just thought I've got to really be on top of this, really be careful because I'm going to be expected to talk about this. And right, Whimsy, there's a lot more to it, as we both know, and I'll leave that to you. What was this, Sandy? You just looked at the temperature in your computer and it's 12 degrees right now. Well, when I started the show today, I held up my phone. Let's see the weather now is 75 degrees, but I started the show, it was 81. It was a lot hotter than that. I've had my air conditioner running. They said starting 10 a.m. tomorrow. They're very specific. 10 a.m. tomorrow. They said the big heat is going to start coming in and it's going to be here for a long time. And I'm like, I don't like hot weather. I don't deal well with it. You know what hot weather feels like to me? It feels like a nonstop anxiety attack. This is me. I can't concentrate and I feel tense and I'm irritable. And I've been known to go to my freezer in my kitchen, open the door and actually stick my head in the freezer just to cool off. I've taken ice and held it to myself. I just don't like heat. Never have, never will. What was this here, Ward? Where can I apply for a transfer back to 1979? I think this also goes back to what Whimsy and I were saying about our love of old movies. Film is encoded with energy. I Love Lucy is encoded with energy. Gone with the Wind, The Wizard of Oz, all these old movies have energy. And these movies are all encoded with the energy of the times they were made. And I think subconsciously, at least, we tap into that energy. And that's one of many reasons these old movies can be just so comforting. It's why like those of us who grew up those of a certain age love shows like the Brady Bunch, I Dream of Jeannie, the Beverly Hillbillies. It's just comfort food. It takes us back to when we were kids and times were simpler and we felt safer. And even if you didn't, you'd watch a show like the Brady Bunch. I've talked to so many people who say they could vicariously be part of this nice suburban family with the duplex home, the station wagon, and the dog, and the maid Alice, and all that, so it serves a purpose. I met Barry Williams once, played Greg Brady. I was at a party once. This was back in 1981. He was one of the guests there, just by coincidence. And I was being, grown up and proper, and shook his hand, said a few words to him. And then there was this other woman who was about my age. She and I looked at each other. We headed into the kitchen and we held hands and jumped up and down. We're at a party with Greg Brady. We're at a party with Greg Brady. And then we got it out of our system and walked back out into the party, and we played grown-ups again. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, lots of naps here. People talking about this. And Joel Tilson, seek higher ground residence in area you are comfortable and safe. Well, you see, Joel, I was saying to her, I was getting very much, I tested that with the pendulum. I was getting a no to a maybe. There's a reason for her being there. But I also got the cards that she has to make this decision based on her own intuition. I was getting that clearly. This is a decision she's got to make. But in being quiet, meditating, journal writing, whatever she needs to do, she's going to get her answer. But I am getting that. I got that sense like, no, maybe not leave that home. Like maybe find ways to better safeguard and protect herself. Perhaps the St. Patty's Day eve nap. Yeah, I mentioned about St. Patty's Day tomorrow. And I'm certainly not doing anything other than the fact that Trader Joe's, I bought Irish soda bread. I haven't tried it yet. That'll be my one thing for tomorrow. God, remember we were in school, and if you didn't wear green, people would pinch you. Oh, hated that. I always hated that when it would be St. Patty's Day, and I'd get to school and I'd be like, I forgot to wear green today. And then I have to deal with people trying to pinch me all day long. Oh, okay. Let me go through the comments here. Did anybody else have a question for me? Want me to pull a card or anything? Let me know. Oh, Andy, I'm sorry you were depressed today. I slept a long time today. Like I was a Rip Van Winkle because I was so depressed today. I'm so sorry. But Andy, sometimes when we are depressed, it's because we are so emotionally overloaded, and we actually need to sleep. We need to be still. We need to be quiet. That might be one of the reasons you did need to sleep today. But we've got a good community here, and we got a lot. I know a lot of you people already. I know that we've got a lot of light workers here, a lot of spiritual people. So, folks, say a prayer for Andy if you feel so inclined. Let's put out a prayer for him. And, Andy, I know you're a good, gentle person, and I know you've been through a lot. But I know you're going to be okay. You're going to get a lot of people here praying for you to lift your spirits and hopefully find what answers you need to find. Because sometimes when we are hurting, we're depressed, it's because there's something. The universe is trying to tell us something, and we're not hearing it, or we're blocking it out. And, I know it's easier said than done, but just be open. Maybe even do a little prayer yourself. Just please, universe, whatever you want to tell me, give me a dream, give me omens, show me something that will help me to move out of this depression. Show me what I need to do to find more happiness. And there, and Andy, even things, I know where you are right now with all the cold and everything, 12 degrees, but sometimes getting out in nature, walking, what Whimsy and I have talked about this because she's one of your books, you're working with herbs right now and communicating with them. And we were both talking about this and on the show about how every plant every tree, every blade of grass, everything has energy. Everything has messages to communicate to us. So maybe, Andy, if you can get out in nature, I know it's hard right now, but that might be a good thing for you. Or, like I was saying earlier in the show, we're being called, that overall message I had, we're being called to go into our imaginations. We're being called to play a bit more, to be creative. And many times answers come to you that way as well. What was this, Joel? A lot of people are raising their homes to escape flood damage. Yes, I have heard of that. That's kind of what I was sensing for this. Forgive me, I forget who asked me this. I'm going to say this person. Forgive me for not having your actual name, but I was sensing like there's something to safeguard the home rather than move. There's measures to safeguard. And that's why I felt called to tell her to really look into herself, look inward. There are answers there, but I just got such a note maybe about actually moving. Andy, it's almost like 12 hours of sleep. Sometimes we need that. I know several people have said they just require a lot of sleep. Their brains require that. So if that's what you need, that's what you need. There's nothing wrong with that. What was this word? Maybe I should get a top hat for the high tea. Well, I wish I had my monocle here. Which I've shown my monocle, a top hat, an ascot. Oh, yes, Whimsy, we should do that. Whimsy, you should wear white gloves. And you got to have a hat with flowers. And I'm laughing at the absurdity of that, the image of the two of us like that. But we could do it. It would certainly make for a good video together. What's this here? Yes, the weather was crazy in my area too, Southwest Pennsylvania. Yeah, well, I'm hearing this from people all on the East Coast and the Midwest. The weather is, and I'm on the news. Obviously, you're getting really bad weather, and it's pushing all your heat out here to California. Believe me, I'd like to push it back. I'm not any happier than you are. This is not weather I enjoy. People go, "Oh, is it wonderful, sunny Southern California?" Yeah. No, not when it's beating down on you and dehydrating you and radiating. So I just realized I sound negative. I shouldn't. There are a lot of people would like to be living out here in Southern California in the sunshine. I think it's also because I grew up in the East Coast and I missed the snow. I miss playing in the snow. Sometimes I got a fix when I go visit my sister where she lives. They have snow. What was this, Joel? My daughters-in-law raised their home about 15 feet in a flood area. Wow. I never thought about raising a house that high. Wow. That is something. Kadam, yeah. Well, it's not so much Streisand was self-taught. It's like she was just born with the gift. It was just an innate thing with her. Streisand didn't even want to be a singer. She wanted to be an actress. That's what she was studying for, to be an actress. She was in drama school, but it's hard enough for any actor, anybody, even if you're drop dead gorgeous, you're like Warren Beatty or something like that. Even actors like that go through their struggling periods. But Streisand, with her offbeat looks and her mannerisms and her Brooklyn accent, I don't have to tell you, she had a hard time getting cast in anything. She was dealing with a lot of rejection. She was broke. And there was a nightclub, or it was either a nightclub or it was a little gay bar or something. And they were having a talent night. And there was a cash prize. And Streisand said, all the London broil you could eat. And that she was poor and starving. And so on a lark, she went in there and sang. It just, to her, it was no big deal because she just sang. She didn't know she was that extraordinary thing. Well, I don't have to tell you what happened. Everybody went ballistic. We're talking one of the greatest voices of the 20th century. So you can imagine the response. I mean, her career took off like a meteorite, just starting out in those little clubs and things. But no lessons. It was just there. completely innate. Now, I'm sure it came from past lives. She was probably opera singers in other lifetimes and who knows what, but her gift was just natural as can be. Let's see. Ward, My Lord and Master. Oh, that's beautiful. That's on her fourth album, People, her People album. Just exquisite, from The King and I. Yeah. Yeah, she sang that so beautifully, but that's a role she never would have been cast in. You know, I'm sure she'd be the first to admit that. And that was one of the beautiful things about recording. Barbara could be all these roles and all these characters that she couldn't be otherwise. And Barbara said, because her love was always acting, first and foremost, she always treated each song as like a miniature play with 3 acts. You know, she would tell a story from beginning, middle to end with full emotion. And that was one of the other things that set Barbra Streisand apart. It wasn't just that remarkable voice, it's what she did with that voice and how she told stories through her singing and transported you. You know, any of you, if you're true Streisand fans, if you're not aware of this, there's an album called Live at the Bonsoir. And it was only released, I think, about 2 years ago, but it was recorded in 1962. I started way right, maybe 63. I think it was recorded in 1962. It was to be her first album with Columbia Records. It was going to be the live album at the Bonsoir, and they had microphones set up throughout, and they recorded the show. But recording in that time was a lot more primitive than now. So the audio tapes, when they listened to them, there was all of this talk in the background, and you could hear busboys clattering dishes, and Barbara's voice was going in and out. And so Columbia said, we can't release this. And Barbara went on to do the Barbra Streisand album, which won the Grammy for Album of the Year. And then she did a second album called the Second Barbra Streisand Album. And it was basically her whole act at the Bonsoir, spread out over those 2 albums, but recorded in a studio. But Barbara kept the master tapes from that recording session from the Bonsoir. And now, with all of our digital magic, she and sound engineers took those tapes, took out all of that cacophony from the talking audience and the dishes and all the bad sound, and they tweaked it. And if you've got a decent sound system, it's like sitting in the Bonsoir nightclub and having Barbra Streisand 4 feet away from you singing to you. The sound is so good, and you get to hear Barbara when she was just this brash young kid, nothing to lose. Here I am, world. That gorgeous voice and all that enthusiasm and all that purity, it's all there. Highly recommend this album. You can download it on iTunes or whatever, but Live at the Bonsoir. Let's go through some other comments here. I'm gonna have to wrap up soon, but please, if you've got another question for my cards, please give them to me. Yes, Jim, that made me cry too. And she sang The Way We Were. And Jim, even though Barbara's voice isn't what it used to be, there were moments her voice cracked last night. There was a moment she was even out of tune, but there was so much heart and emotion in it, it didn't matter. And there was even a poignancy about, here's Barbara now almost 84 years old, maybe one of the last times we're ever going to hear her sing live, doing it perhaps one more time and doing it for Robert Redford. It was just a beautiful, beautiful moment. What was this here, Ward? You were in the 70s today in your neck of the woods and barely made it to freezing. Yeah, some parts of the country are being spared by that. Oh, Joyce, I love Barbra Streisand on screen. I mentioned that at the beginning of the show. I actually became a fan of hers first for The Way We Were, for the movie. I mean, I know she's, of course, sings that song at the beginning, which is iconic, but it's basically a straight dramatic role. And also, I thought Barbara never looked more beautiful on screen. They made her very 1940s glamorous in that film, and I always loved that hairdo. And I was so dismayed years later, and I found out it was a wig. She wore a wig in The Way We Were. And the way I found this out was there was a celebrity memorabilia auction here in Hollywood. I can't remember, it was like Julian's or Butterfield's or something. And there was the wig on a styrofoam stand. It was all matted up and tangled and looked like hell, but it was the wig she wore in The Way We Were. And I was like, that was a wig. Yeah, but she looked really beautiful. And also in her autobiography, she revealed that she wore some of her own clothes, meaning rather than have a costume designer, she went to vintage thrift stores and actually picked out authentic 1940s dresses to wear in the movie. She also had to fight very hard to get Redford to do that. And she mentioned that last night. So I don't know if they need to go into it, but it was basically because the character of Hubble, well, she said last night, Robert Redford said, this character has no backbone. And it was through his insistence, many rewrites, that they finally gave the character substance. And Barbara acknowledged, even in her autobiography, she said he was right. And he made a much better movie because he insisted that we develop his character further like that. And she said it gave Katie and Hubble both more to play off of and more interplay. And she said this before, and she said it in her autobiography, that one of the things that made their chemistry work so well is both of them in real life were very mystified by each other, very intrigued. They each found each other like a puzzle to take apart and put back together and all the intricacies. And they often did not talk or rehearse. They would save all that for when they were actually on camera acting together. And so you see that going on in their eyes and in their energy. Watch for it. It's a lot of fun. And another thing I love about The Way We Were, I bought the DVD just for this reason. There were 2 scenes, crucial scenes, cut out of the movie. And Barbara was extremely upset. Director Sidney Pollack said that she proceeded to argue with him for the next 35 years over it, about how those scenes should not have been removed. But, people were often baffled. Why did Katie and Hubble split up? The movie makes it look like because he was cheating with another woman, and that's why she left him, and that's why they divorced. But audiences somehow knew something was not right. Something was missing. Well, the real reason, and this is in the scene that was cut, was, the movie takes place in Hollywood during the McCarthy era, the Red Scare, when a lot of entertainers, writers, people in the industry were being accused of being communists, which was like kiss of death. That would be like today being accused of being a murderer, a pedophile, a rapist. Being called a communist was the worst. Your career was over. And Katie, in college, had been somewhat radical, preaching the merits of communism, socialism, which in the 30s, it had a very different meaning. It's like Lucille Ball, when she was accused of being a communist, when she allowed her grandfather to talk her into registering as a communist in 1936. She said in 1936, it wasn't a big deal, and she was doing it to just please her grandfather. She didn't know anything about politics. But anyway, the fact that Redford's character was married to Streisand's character, this was bad. This was bad for his career, and it was going to destroy him. And it was out of love that Streisand's character, Katie, left him so his career would not be destroyed. And they make that clear in this scene, which was restored finally. Finally, that's why I bought the DVD, just for that scene. Barbara wrote about it in her autobiography. She was so heartbroken about that scene being cut that she was in the editing room and she said, "May I have this?" She went, actually literally pulled off the floor, the film, pulled the strips of film off the floor and said, "Can I have this?" And Barbara lovingly kept that film in her own personal vault for nearly 50 years. And when she heard there was going to be a 50th anniversary DVD release, she said, "Please, can we now put the scene back?" And they did. It's there. And there's also another lovely scene. Not quite as important, but it's a lovely scene for Streisand. It really shows her acting range, where her character, this is after they're in Hollywood, and she's driving by I think it was the UCLA or the USC campus, and she sees this young, passionate college girl preaching, much as she used to do. And Streisand her character, Katie, realizes how much she sold herself out. And she's in her car and she's standing there watching it, and a big tear runs down her face. That's the other scene they restored. Anyway, I got to wrap this up soon, but I want to see if anybody had any other questions or anything, because I got to go soon. Ward, so did Billy Crystal's tribute to the Reiners? So did Billy Crystal's tribute to the Reiners, exclamation point. He was trying so hard to focus on their personalities and careers while avoiding their horrific end. I'm not sure if I understand there's some typos there. Let's see. Did Billy Crystal tribute to the Reiners? Well, I think what Billy Crystal was trying to do was to focus on the positive. He was trying to focus on the good they did as people, and the artistry that they brought, and the joy to people, rather than focusing on a very, very grisly, tragic end. Their son stabbed them to death. And I think he did it's like everybody in the room knew that already. Did it really need to be brought up? So Billy Crystal was trying to focus on the more positive of their lives. I think that's what he was trying to do. And I thought he did that well. And that was just beautiful when all those actors came out together on stage, and the way it was done, just standing there, and then they turn around and they just look up at the picture of Rob Reiner and his wife. Renee, it's snowing there in Pennsylvania. Oh, I'd love to be there. I miss snow. Yeah, sir. Yeah, they did nothing to help Britney Spears when she was going through her exploitive family cash cow. Yeah, her father. Yeah, that was really bad. Took her. It was really shocking what came out about Britney Spears and how much control her father had on her well into her adult years. Well, that was very traumatizing. People. Oh, War, you got to get clean and ready for bed. Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you for joining us. Always appreciate you having here. What was it here, Andy? Is it just but when you're miserable, it's like the actress saying, "I want to be alone" feeling? Well, many times when I'm depressed or down, I want to be alone. I have wonderful friends, wonderful, loving, well-meaning friends. And sometimes they're right. It is good to just get out with people, not wallow in your troubles and your sorrows. But my inclination is to want to be alone. But I tend to be a loner anyway. I tend to like to meditate, write, work on my art. That's just me. I've always been that way. Wow. Joel Tilson, my 9th great grandmother's real name is, I'm not going to pronounce this right, Matachana Powhatan, stepsister of Pocahontas. Powhatan. I just found out her real last name yesterday. Yeah, and I'm originally from Virginia, and that whole story of John Smith and Pocahontas, and we have Powhatan County. We have and there is Pocahontas, Virginia. And of course, I know the story has been tremendously embellished. It was a lot more tragic than it was what really took place. I'm not versed enough to really talk about it here. let's see. And this just skipped on me again. Sorry. Let me go back. I was trying to slowly go down. Yeah, I've got to wrap this up soon. I'd see I still got a lot of comments here. Okay, I got to get back. What was this? Okay, about Powhatan. People talking about all the history in their areas. Joel, wow, you should write a book. Well, you should. I think a lot of us should write books. I find a lot of people have a book in them, at least one. Everybody has famous ancestors. Gee, I'm not really aware of any for myself, but maybe. What was this saying? I'm so miserable. I don't think anybody will make me happy, but I would love a hug. Well, folks, when you pray for Andy, send him an energetic hug too. And I mean that very seriously. Send Andy an energetic hug. We got a lot of good people here. Let's see if you feel it, Andy. I hear people right now going, here you go, Andy. Here you go. People giving you hugs. Oh, apparently another orb whizzed by. I'm missing them all because I've got my back turned. Yeah, and you saw Vincent Price's rap. Okay, I'm trying to do this slowly here. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Jim. I was very lucky. I've met. I would estimate over 500, easily over 500 actors in the 40 years I've lived here. I count as one of the great blessings of my life. Considering where I came from, to be able to do that, and also meet some of my very, very favorites, like Carol Burnett. I've told that story a number of times. People here saying about the Oscars, the news. Let's see here. Oh, wait, let's see. Kadam, my friends are going to Vegas next week to see The Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. I'd like to do that, but I saw the ticket prices are ridiculous. I think they start at like $110. No, I'm not paying that. Not paying that. I'm also a purist about that movie. It's my favorite movie of all time. And I have always said that's the closest thing Hollywood ever came to making a legitimately perfect movie. So when you got a perfect movie, you don't mess with it. You don't change it. I know people disagree with me on that, but I just think you leave that movie alone. But then maybe if I saw what they've done with it at the Sphere, I might change my mind. Maybe. I've seen little things where people have snuck their phones into the theater and they've taken little bits of video. And honestly, I've been very turned off by it. And also, I don't like the fact that they cut, I think, something like 27 minutes out of the movie. I understand they took most of the musical numbers out. Now, that to me is just sacrilegious. No. You don't do that to a movie like The Wizard of Oz. But I tell you what, if you said, your friend, you said your friends are going to go see it. Sometime on a future show, just tell me what they think. I'd like to hear from anybody who goes to see it, because maybe my opinion can be changed. I try to be open-minded to things. Oh, Joel, you helped Chris Christopherson. That's great. Oh, yes, Rock and Pony Lady, wear green tomorrow so you don't get pinched. Well, Joel, you said you have green eyes. I don't know if you can see them. My eyes change color. They look brown, they look hazel, but in certain light, my eyes are very green. So I guess that's going to be my green for tomorrow too. What was this here, Joel? Growing up during March in Nebraska, we would pick morel mushrooms with our paper sacks, which were full. Mom would clean them and fry them for dinner. You have to be so careful with mushrooms, but I'm sure you knew what you were doing. Obviously, you're still here. I've heard horror stories. I mean, I've heard stories of people out on hikes picking mushrooms, and then the next day they're in the hospital getting liver transplants and on the brink of death. I don't know if you ever saw that movie Phantom Thread. But let's just say there's a wife who wants to get back at her husband, and she cooks him a mushroom omelet from some ones that she picked for herself out in the woods, and he got very, very sick for a while. But no, that sounds delicious. I love mushrooms. I got to scroll through these quicker because oh my God, it's 8:14. I have got to get off of here. Not that I don't enjoy being with you, but I've been on almost 2 hours now, and I've got some work I got to do tonight. So please pardon me for speed reading. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Someone was asking about passports. Because they say 4 to 6 weeks. I got my passport renewed last fall, and I think I got mine in 3 weeks. But everybody can be different. Thing I need to do for the trip, I've got to get my real ID. I haven't done that yet, but I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. Let's see. Let me speed through here, and please pardon me. I don't mean to neglect people, but I've just got to go through these quick right now. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Let me just see what to comment here. Joel Tilson, see you tomorrow, Chuck. Hope you find my email to you. Yeah. I'm assuming you sent it to my Gmail account, so I'll look for that. Joel, when did you send it? So, I'll have a better idea to find it. What was this here? You got randomly suggested. Oh, I got randomly suggested on your YouTube page. Wow. That's cool. Sorry if this got asked already, but did you watch the Oscars? Okay. The only reason I'm laughing is obviously you didn't see the first part of the show, because we've talked quite a bit about the Oscars, and but no, thank you first of all for coming on here. I'm very flattered that I got randomly suggested and that you came on. Thank you very much. So I will just repeat. I will sum up in a nutshell what I was saying. I thought the Oscars were rather dreadful this year. Very bad writing, but the in memoriam segment, in my opinion, is the best they've ever done. I thought it was heartfelt and memorable as any in memoriam segment could possibly be. The tributes to Rob Reiner, the actors coming out on stage the way they did from all of his movies, the lovely words about Diane Keaton, and then of course my idol Barbra Streisand coming out and speaking about her dear friend Robert Redford, and then singing the last verse of that iconic song. That, for me, more than made up for a very tepid show otherwise. But I was disappointed because Conan O'Brien was saying how they had spent 2 months testing that material out in nightclubs and so forth. And this whole team of writers, I thought, this is what you came up with? It was pretty bad writing, but anyway, that was my opinion. Some may differ with me. I see some people here said they loved the Oscars last night, and I certainly love it. My friend Anastasia and I sat here with Sasha Cat. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I woke her up from her nap. But anyway, we sat with Sasha and watched the Oscars and had lots of food. Oh, Whimsy, if you're still watching, we were not in accordance with the 80% plant-based diet. We were having pizza. We were having brie cheese, crackers, guacamole. We had olives. Those were plant-based. And then chocolate cake. It was a very rich, decadent evening. We decided this was going to be our cheat day. And I said to her as I cut the chocolate cake, now this is a very special chocolate cake because it binds to fat. You actually lose weight when you just eat this chocolate cake. You wake up tomorrow morning 15 pounds lighter. And she kind of looked at me like, you're right. What was this scene here? I don't know if this will get seen tonight, but it would make me happy if Sasha was on to know that Anastasia is okay. Well, good. I think I just answered that for you, Andy. Anastasia is wonderful. She was here last night. Sasha, I don't think she's happy about me picking her up right now, but she's very sleepy. But you can see she's okay. She's a good girl. She's going to be 11 years old at the end of this month. I've had her since she was 10 weeks old. Okay, I'm going to put you down, Sasha. But you can see she's okay. What was this? I wonder if he speeds through the chat, he can go back in time. I'm not sure if I understand what you mean there, but you mean rewatch the show and go through the comments? I can do that, but but right now, because I have been on here 2 hours, I've got to get off to do some work. I'm going through these very quickly. So please pardon me if I overlook a comment, a question. I have great respect for each of you here. But yes, Joel Tilson said, don't cut a classic like The Wizard of Oz. Thank you. Thank you. You don't mess with a movie like that. You don't mess with perfection. That's my opinion anyway. Darn it, and this just skipped down again. Morel, mushrooms are like the filet mignon of mushrooms. I have been to vegan restaurants where there are certain mushrooms you can cook it in a way you cannot tell the difference between that and a really good steak. Oh, I could go for it right now. My mouth started to water. It's so delicious, very expensive, almost as much as a steak, but it's just incredible that you can do that. And it's, I'm assuming, infinitely healthier. Oh, Jim, thank you for saying that. No problem on the speed reading. I think you do an extraordinary job with the comments. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for that. Oh, yeah, Kadam, they cut out most of the songs. I could be wrong on this, but I heard from someone who was there, who did go, a friend of mine in San Francisco. He said they cut out almost 27 minutes from the movie. And they definitely tinkered with it with a lot of AI and added a lot of extra things. And I'm just like, no. And then what I might have gone to see it out of curiosity if it hadn't been the fact that it's like starting price is like $110 for the tickets, and that's up from there. I don't want to pay that. I can think of so many things I'd rather use my money for than for that, and do you like Conan's humor? I mean, Conan can be funny, but I just felt for the gravitas of the evening, is that the right word for it? The importance of the evening. And when you've got a whole team of writers and you've spent 2 months rehearsing the material, it should have been a lot better than what we got. That's my complaint. I see Barbara Hart. Conan was okay. I mean, I've certainly seen worse hosts on the show. He was okay. He was sufficient. But I thought, if anything, he was better last year. This year was just off. It was just an off show. Okay, I've seen the comments about Sasha, the chocolate cake. Just chocolate cake cures everything. It is a fact that chocolate helps increase endorphins in the brain. It has an amino acid called phenylalanine. Wonderful mood elevator. There's a reason. I was told there's a reason we give roses and chocolates, like on Valentine's Day or as a gift of love. It's because chocolate it's a feel good. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you're in love. And roses, the scent of a rose, like rose oil, like putting a diffuser, rose, the fragrance is a very high vibration. It raises your vibrational level, hence why we give roses and chocolates. Maybe we need to give ourselves roses and chocolates. Well, I certainly give myself chocolate. The reason I have roses, you know what the reason is I don't have roses? That Sasha destroys. I've tried to put cut flowers out. I turn my back, like go in the bathroom or something, go away for a minute. the vase is usually smashed on the floor, water everywhere, and she started ripping up and chewing up the flowers. And some flowers are even dangerous for cats, like I lilies, Easter lilies are actually highly poisonous to cats. And I've heard stories of cats, like people take them to the vet and there's no antidote, there's nothing to save the cat. It's just horrible. So, but there are plenty of flowers that are safe, but I can't do it. Can't do it because of this little Siamese who says, you don't need flowers. I'm flowers. I will be your flowers. And she's squirming, get away. So I'm putting her down. What was it? Oh, Tammy, you didn't see the cards I pulled for you? I pulled cards for you. I pulled a whole bunch of cards for you. But you said, just one card? Okay. I don't know if I can remember what I said to you. Oh, Tammy, I thought you were watching. In fact, Tammy, tell me, did you see what I did or not? I don't know what you mean when you say, just one card. Is that frustration because you think I didn't pull for you? Oh, no. Oh, so your son called. So that's what happened. You didn't see. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I did a whole reading on for you. What did I say? I was getting like there was a darn it. I don't know if I redo this now. Because I was getting in the reading that there was like a tug of war. Like there was part of you that was happy with this artist, but there was another part of you that was indecisive about it. Like there was something bothering you about it because I was getting like that tug of war. You were immersed in decisions about this. And I was getting conflicting cards. Like I got one card where you felt pleasure in this person and another where there was like displeasure. And you were going to have to reconcile that. But I was feeling you were, and I'm so sorry. I'm trying to remember these cards now. And I got one card that was about business. Like you're going to have to make a tough business decision where it might mean even having to hurt somebody, like someone who really wants to do this for you, but you're going to have to treat this like business and do what's right for you, what feels best for you, what you know is best for your book. So I don't know if that's resonating with you, Tammy, and I'm so sorry. I'd honestly have to watch my own video back again to tell you what I told you. But that was the gist of it. I wish you had seen it. I don't know if another card, if I can try one card here, see if anything will come up. Well, Tammy, has this been weighing heavily on you? Like the choice of this voice artist? Has it, because I'm interested enough, I got exhaustion. Like this is tiring you. It's like you're going back and forth on this. Does that feel accurate to you, Tammy? Wait to hear here. I think I'm at the bottom of the comments here, but because I was getting that before, like there was like a tug of war over this, a bit of competition in making this decision. But I got that was what was that? Me too. Okay. I'm just waiting for you to tell me if that's applying or not. This is probably something where we need to talk in person. But I think I got ultimately you are going to be happy with the person, but it is going to be, you've got to stick straight to business, meaning you do what's right for you, what's right for this book. Yeah, hundreds of auditions. Okay, then that's what I'm feeling. So Tammy, yeah, exhaustion. It's like, yeah, any of us who have ever gone through a process like this, it's exhausting. It wears on you. Okay, this makes sense what I was getting for you. Now, if I could just remember what the cards were, because now I'm trying to find the cards in the deck where I was just letting them fall out for you. But I'm trying to find that card because there was one, like there was a real tug of, yeah. This is what I was getting for you. Competition. See the tug of war going back and forth. You're saying hundreds of auditions, like back and forth, back and forth. And I was getting like you, because you're so immersed in this, in this tug of war, all these auditions, like I pulled a card where you're pleased with some, but others you're not pleased. And it's like hard for you, but I'm feeling like you're going to make a business decision. You said, yes, I found a great artist today. So your business, you're going to be fine. And I don't remember what card I pulled after that, but it was a card basically supporting you're going to be fine in this decision. And it was like what I was saying to some people earlier. It was like the woman asking me about her house and moving. And I got cards saying that this is very much a decision you have to make based upon your own intuition. And Tammy, because I know you so well personally, you have excellent intuition and discernment. And I don't think your intuition is going to let you down, but it's almost like I know when I get overwhelmed, it's very hard to make a decision. You know, when you're just inundated, if you truly have had hundreds of auditions, that's a lot. You need to take a break. You need like some time just to be quiet, breathe on this, meditate on it, and you'll know. You'll know. But I think it's more like you need to do a clearing right now. You've had too much right now. Does that make sense, Tammy? Because that's the gist of what I was getting for you in my reading. But I know that the person you found is going to be wonderful. I know that. That much was clear to me, but I'm also getting the turmoil of you as the artist, the businesswoman, the author, and Tammy, because I know you so well, I also know your perfectionism. So that's probably playing into it also. I'm the same way. And sometimes I just have to get past that, let go of my perfectionism and just go, okay, what feels right to me? So Tammy, I hope that helped you. And because I've been on here over 2 hours and I need to go, I am going to wrap it up for now. I thank you all for being here. I thank you. Some people I haven't had on here. Stephanie, Tammy, I don't know if you've ever joined me on here. I really appreciate this. And my wonderful dear Dr. Whimsy came here, and viewers from the show and regulars. Seems like a lot more people today. So thank you very much. Thank you. I love you too, Tammy. And I love you all. I love you all. Some of you I've spoken to directly, some I haven't. Some of you I just know from here. But I love them. I love you. I love you. It means a lot to me. You honor me coming here and supporting me like this. Thank you. So I'm going to say goodnight for now. Tomorrow, you can find me on the Oracle of Whimsy channel. And it's the show I do with Dr. Whimsy Anderson called Taco Tuesdays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. I know a lot of you out here already know this, but that's the show where we really get into the news events of the day, and we do a lot more readings on there. Whimsy usually works with her tarot cards. I work with my oracle cards, and it's always fun. It's always an adventure. It's always a journey. We never know where it's going to take us. So anyway, that's where I will be tomorrow. And then Thursday, we do the show again. Hot Topics Thursdays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'm here as close to 5 or 5:30 or 6 as I can get on Mondays. So thank you very much. And I'm going to say goodnight and see you soon. Bye. And how do I sign out here? I don't know if it's going to. Yes, here we go. I didn't see my end stream button.